Hello, Goshen Theater Drama Club, drama fans, Goshen Theater fans, friends, family, artists. Welcome to the first ever Goshen Theater Drama Club Table Talk with three of your amazing instructors from the Goshen Theater Drama Club. Me, Miss Amber, who's the executive director of the club, and then there is Miss Katie, who is the camp director for our summer program, and then Miss Molly, who also works with the summer program and is a Goshen Theater intern. Good afternoon, ladies.
Hello.
Hello, I'm excited to be here.
I'm going to introduce myself really quickly. So I am the managing director at the Goshen Theater, Amber Burgess. We have been working together to come up with this great drama club curriculum, and these two ladies are the ones who are most instrumental in getting that done and getting this great content out to the kids of Elkhart County. Additionally, I was a professional actor for a couple decades of my life, and have done everything from film and commercials to stage work and musicals. I've done a lot of directing and designing, and I am going to be the voice of wisdom and experience at today's audition chat. Stop laughing, Katie. It's very serious. And now I'm going to introduce to you Miss Katie.
Hello, friends. I am going to be the camp director this summer for Goshen Theater. It's my first year with you guys. It's your first camp this year, yeah? You may know me from Round Barn Theater. I was an actress there for a few seasons. And also I was their camp director for the past 4 or 5 seasons. I forget. I've lost count. So if you've been one of my campers in the past, you know how I work. And I hope that you're coming to camp this year. Join us for Goshen Theater. I am a professional actress. I live in Chicago on a normal basis. I have a BFA in musical theater from Missouri State University, and I think that basically sums it up. I'm originally from Missouri. All of my family is back in Missouri. Hi, family.
Well, that's Miss Katie. All right, and now, Oh, our video is a little bit wonky, but that's okay. This is now Miss Molly. Introduce yourself, Molly.
Oh, hi everybody. Yeah, I'm Miss Molly. You might have seen me do a couple of dance videos on the Facebook page. So I'm the intern this spring at the Goshen Theater, and I'm also working with the summer camp. I'm super excited to be here with you all. I very recently graduated with my BFA in musical theater performance, so I am just beginning to enter the world as a professional actress, but I'm also a choreographer. I've done some choreography work here in Goshen, and I love teaching as well. So I'm just super excited to be here and get to tell you about my very recent experience and all the auditions that go into college auditions and those sorts of things, breaking into this theater world. So happy to be here.
That is awesome. Molly also was a choreographer for the high school musical, most recently Big Fish. So she's got experience also in casting school musicals. Obviously, Katie with the Round Barn Theater stuff and the camps she's done before has a ton of experience casting that sort of thing. And I've got a little bit of casting experience. So we have a diverse array of experiences for you. And we, in the trade, in acting, when someone is doing a lot of seeing a lot of people audition or directing a play or casting a play, they're on that side of the table. So there's a little lingo for you. So we've all been on both sides of the table. So today I'm going to just run over quickly what we are going to be learning today. And this is a very broad, general discussion that we're going to do today. And depending on feedback that we get from all of you and the sort of stuff that you guys have for questions and things like that, we're going to tailor this and videos in the future. We're going to tailor those videos to the sort of stuff that you guys want to learn. So today we're going to be just looking at a big general overview of auditioning. That includes stuff like how to calm your nerves, dealing with that nervousness and how to be best prepared to be nervous and how to be best prepared to not be nervous. We're also going to be going over what you should prepare as material for an audition, what you need to bring to auditions, and what you can expect. And also simple stuff like what to wear when you're going to different kinds of auditions. And the sorts of auditions that we're going to cover today, and this is a big broad topic, so we're going to cover all of this real quickly and just give you some general notes on this stuff. We're going to talk about school play auditions, which is really important to a lot of you, I'm sure. And I know that was the first audition I ever did, was for a school play. How about you ladies?
Yep.
Actually, I think mine was the Round Barn Theater. But yeah, but second to that very quickly was school. So.
Oh, that's funny. Molly and I did a play together 100 years ago. When I was still an adult, and Molly was about that big.
I haven't grown much since, but in age I have.
In wisdom. So school play auditions, we're going to talk about that. Then Molly's going to dig a little deeper on program auditions. These are auditions for things like performing arts camps in the summer, or collegiate programs, things like that. Sometimes there's scholarship auditions or other program sort of auditions. So Molly's going to dig deep into that. We're going to talk as a group about community theater auditions and civic theater auditions because they're a little bit different too. Then we're going to turn it over to Katie. She's going to chat a little bit about professional auditions and the professional world and what that sort of looks like. And then to round it out, I'm going to talk a tiny bit about on-camera auditions and what to expect with those. And this is a very broad look. We can zoom in on any of these topics that you guys might like to. And of course, when this video is over, we're going to post it up on our Facebook and on our YouTube. You guys can comment questions and we can get back to you on those things. And obviously, Goshen Theater Drama Club Table Talks, episode 2, will be able to answer those questions in real time. Very exciting, right? Well, not in real time. It won't be in real time. It'll be after you've asked the question. I don't want to get letters about it. All right. So that's a little intro to the topics covered. Let's start with school play auditions. Katie, do you have any memorable experiences with a school play audition?
They've always been, just depending on who was doing the directing part of everything, it just depends on what they are looking for and how they want to run their auditions. So I've had different ways of doing it. I've had it where I go up and I sing my favorite song a cappella. I've had it where we have music given to us to prepare, or we pick a song from the show and we prepare it ourselves, kind of situation. We've been given sides. Usually you don't have to come in with a monologue per se for a school audition. I've never had to do that, but
Now wait, Miss Katie, what's a side?
A side, yes. So a side would be like a scene or even a monologue from a show that you are doing for your school production probably. And they're going to pull that director is going to pull that scene, just a little snippet, and you'll either have a partner on stage with you reading one of the roles and you're reading another role as if you're in the show and you're auditioning for that role. Or you could even have someone down who's like the assistant director, who is your reader down on the floor with the director, right? And then you are that person who's auditioning. You're the only one on stage. But that's just like you either get it ahead of time and you get to go out in the hallway and like read it over a couple times to yourself, or you get it handed to you as you go up on stage. Now here's the trick, guys. You cannot let yourself go too fast. Give yourself that moment to read through it before you start actually reading for your audition. That is a huge key. And that goes for even professional auditions as well. But young actors tend to get up there and just go. They don't look ahead. They don't take a breath. Always take your breath. Take your moment. Take in what the scene is. Know where you're going with it. And then proceed. And take it slow. Don't be afraid to take a moment, look at the next line, connect with your reader, and say the line.
I really like that idea of connecting to the breath. And I think that kind of segues really nicely into Molly. How should students deal with the nerves of auditioning for a school play?
Yeah, I remember like back, especially when I was in high school, you're usually gonna find like everyone's in a line outside of the audition room and everyone is like super nervous and like a little bit hyper and like, what are you singing for your audition? What are you singing? And don't be afraid to be the person that like isn't going to talk to everyone. I would really recommend finding your own quiet space. I really like bringing headphones and playing like pump up songs that just like make me feel really good and make me feel like me. And I know like preparedness is something we're all going to talk about a lot in this, but if you're prepared with what you're going into the audition for, there's nothing more you need to do before that audition starts. You don't need to feel like, oh, but like, should I have worked on this part a little bit more, worked on this part? If you are already prepared, that's all that you can control. You can't control anyone else in the line. So again, taking those big deep breaths. I sometimes even do just like a physical warm up that just grounds me in my body, and that I know how it's going to feel to walk in on that stage, and I'm just going to breathe, and like my feet will feel grounded in the floor. And one of the things that is also interesting about school auditions is the directors of those shows usually work with you in other capacities like throughout the school day, so you're going to see them a lot more than you would a regular director if you're just going in for an audition. So I would like make sure that, you know, in the classes you have with that director, whether it's choir, like you're also on task in those classes and you're dependable and you're fun to work with, and they're going to take note of that as well. So
I think being fun to work with and having a good attitude is probably the best way to be prepared for any audition, because people make mistakes and they flub up all the time. It's not about being perfect. It's about being yourself in any audition situation, and especially with school auditions. So that's great. So dealing with nerves, take a breath, like put your feet on the floor, feel grounded, take a minute, don't be scared to sort of be on your own. I really like that advice, because it is tempting to be like, because you're nervous, you have all that energy and you want to like talk to people, but it's smart to just center and be on your own. I love that, Molly. That's very cool. So what what should somebody prepare for a school play audition? Katie, you talked a little bit about the kinds of things, like they might give you a side, you might have to prepare a monologue. What other stuff should somebody prepare for a school audition?
Read the play. If you
Oh,
can read the play or watch a production of the play, know the story, know it inside and out, know where it starts and where it ends. If you understand the play as a whole, you're going to look like a smart actor on stage to your director. And Miss Amber, I'm going to go back to something you said. There are flub ups, right? We've all have had flub ups in a audition space. The key is what you do with that flub up, right? If you freak out, if you get nervous, if you run off stage crying, whatever it is, like if you show that you messed up, number one, everyone else is going to know you messed up. They don't know because they don't know your piece, probably. And even if they do, how you deal with your mess up will show them how you'll deal if something goes wrong on stage. And that is a huge tool to have under your belt, for especially for young actors. Knowing as a child theater director, I've traveled all over the US at this point, and I've worked with a company that does children's theater, where I work with kids new every week, new set of kids every week. And you always look for those dependable actors, like Miss Molly said. You know, they are watching you all the time. They're watching you while you sit in the audience waiting for your turn. They're watching you when you're out in the hall. Are you being loud and distracting out in the hall? Are you being kind to others? Are you making sure that you're on task when you're waiting? Those are all things that really do play into it, because most directors are looking for people who are going to have fun on stage and be big and loud, but they're looking for kids who will stay on task when it's not their turn to be on stage, because backstage amplifies any sound. If you're showing me during your audition when you're not even on stage that you're going to be distracting to my show, chances are you're probably either not going to get cast or you're not going to get the big role that you're hoping to get. So really it's about your attitude in the space, and it's about having fun on stage, right? There are the sides that we talked about. That's one thing that I've used as a director and others have used for me for auditioning. There's singing a cappella or singing something prepared, but there's also an improv audition. And we use this for Prairie Fire Children's Theater a lot, which is the touring theater that I've worked for many seasons at this point. And I use it for camp too, where I call it the Prairie Fire Pop because that's what we call it. But where I would get all the kids all at once on stage and just give them just one line, and have them repeat it back to me, normal. And then you start giving them ideas on how to say that line. And one at a time, they have to say that line in a different fashion, like an old man, like a child having a birthday party that's throwing a fit at their birthday party, like a superhero, like whatever it is. You have to be willing to play with it and show them that you're going to have fun and you're going to try new things. Because if you're willing to go that extra mile in your audition, you're going to go that extra mile when I cast you in that spot too. And that's what I really need, is kids who are going to go for it and take the direction that I give them and really just run for it and have fun.
You know, what's funny is that we haven't talked at all about the quality of somebody's product, like the quality of your singing voice or the quality of your acting. We talk more about how you behave and what your attitude is. And I think this is a really good time to say, I think that's probably more important than what people would say is talent. There's an assumption, I think, in the wider world that it's all about talent, that the most talented people get the most parts or whatever that is. But that's not my experience. Sometimes there's very talented people that are very difficult to work with. Sometimes there's someone who is just a dream to work with, and you just don't even, it doesn't enter into the picture. So there's a lot of, like, a good attitude and being on task goes a long way to get you cast. I'm putting that on a t-shirt.
Hard work will always beat out talent if talent does not work hard.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That was good.
I had a professor tell me that in college a lot.
Chills.
Heather, I don't know if you're listening, but hi, Heather.
Oh, so we're going to move on. Oh, one other thing on school play auditions, and I know this one's crazy because you're probably just going to be wearing your clothes from school, but are there anything special? Molly, talk about wardrobe for school play auditions if they need to bring special clothes. Does that happen, do you think?
I usually like pick an outfit that flatters me and is just like what I look like on my best day. Like nothing too dressy. Even in the professional world, you know, you don't have to have like an extremely dressy gown or anything like that, but something that is flattering to your body, that kind of shows your personality, but also isn't usually like big patterns is probably a no, just because that's going to pull attention away from like your face and your expressions and the things that you want to show them. So you just want to walk in and look good and have them be like, oh yeah, she looks good. And then, but then they don't think about it and they're listening to you and you know, what you came in to do. But it's definitely important, and just wear something that makes you feel good too, and just confident in your ability, and don't overthink it, but also think about it a little bit.
Just right, think it. Not too much, not too little. Okay. Is there anything special that anybody should bring to a school play audition? I would say pencil. If you have like your Google Calendar or whatever, if you have conflicts or other activities for school, I would bring a list of those conflicts, your school conflicts, and probably like a pen or pencil. Can we think of anything else?
Yeah, a pen and a pencil would be a good start, because most likely when you get there, they're going to have some kind of an information sheet for you to fill out, where you are going to write those conflicts down so that they know, okay, well, this person's in these many extracurricular activities and they have rehearsals on this day. That means I can have rehearsal at this time with these kids, you know. They have to plan that all out on the spot too, kind of situation. In addition to that, they're also going to be asking you about, on those sheets, any roles that you may have had in the past. And you don't need a resume for your high school audition, but they will ask you what role you have played elsewhere, like your church. If you've done like an Easter pageant, or you've been a soloist on Sunday, whatever it is, like if there's something special at church that you want to include on that, you definitely can on that sheet. If you've done a summer camp, you've done Goshen Drama Club camp during the summer, and you had this really great solo, and you want to put that, you played that role that summer, that's important to include so that they know, okay, well, they've handled performance in the past. And that's going to catch their eye when they're just looking at your sheet, and that's going to make them go, okay, and then they're going to really focus on you during your audition, right? Not that your teachers don't focus on everyone. They do, I promise. But it will help. It will help. to place you.
So be thinking about the roles that you've played in the past or solos you've had or situations where I saw on a resume like a couple years ago, someone had written when they sang the national anthem at a game. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. What I thought was like, oh, that shows me that they're good under pressure, that they're a strong singer, and there is nothing scarier than singing the national anthem at a sporting event because those are not theater people. So yeah, I've even seen things like that on a resume. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so I feel like we've really covered the school play audition pretty well. I think in conclusion with that, I'd say that the whole purpose of doing a play at your school is not about performing a play. It's not about having the greatest work of art that's ever occurred in the history of the world. Art does happen in school plays, but the real purpose of it is for you to make a team and to create art with other students that are like you who are interested in the arts. And the value of this is so high. So I would say, even if you want a specific part in the school play, go in with an open mind. And I would say, even if you're cast in the ensemble and you didn't think you wanted to be in the ensemble, or you're offered a role that you didn't necessarily think you wanted, give it a try. Give it a try. It's so important when you are a young person and a student to take the opportunities that are given to you. And some of the best experiences I've had were times when I didn't necessarily get what I thought I wanted, and that opened me up to new experiences. And any chance to do a play is a good experience, in my opinion. So that's my 2 cents on educational productions. We're going to move on to program auditions. Oh, Katie's got something.
Amber, can I say something real fast?
Yeah.
Parents who are listening, this is something for you. Because here it is, kids, there's literally no small part, right? Miss Amber just told you are a team when you're in a show. And literally without every single person on the team participating and putting their best foot forward, the team will not succeed the way that it needs to, right? So if you have a bad attitude because you didn't get the role that you were hoping for, it's okay to be upset that you didn't get what you wanted. Have your feelings, literally. I get upset when I don't get what I want. Then take a day, take a breath, and let it go. Move on. Think of the team. Parents, make it okay for your kid not to get that role. All right. So many times I've seen kids walk out after I've already given the speech about be proud about what you got. Okay. Like be okay with it. They walk out, they tell their parent what they got, and then the parent just slams it down. And they're just like, oh, well, is that really what you wanted? Is that a big part? Whatever it is. Once again, parents, you're allowed to be upset too, not in front of your kid. If you make it okay for them to not have that role that they had their heart set on, and you make it okay for them to move forward, they're going to move forward so much easier for that director and for that team. So parents, you are a huge part of the process. You are the ones that they go home to, and they are going to be upset. Make it okay for them to be upset, but make it okay for them to move on quickly. That's my 2 cents on that. Thank you.
I actually have a story. I was doing an educational program. It was one of the years before Miss Katie joined us at the Round Barn, and we were doing a show that had a lot of really fun, diverse characters in it. And there was one role I was really nervous about, and it wasn't the lead. I was nervous about casting this one part because in the play, this part was a leader. And what I needed was a young actor who was going to be good at singing the song and good at doing the lines and playing the character. But really, I needed that student to sort of take a leadership role within the show and help corral and be the leader of this group of people. And that's so challenging. So I was very, very worried about it. And we had a student who came into the camp program who was perfect, already had good leadership skills. They were very gifted, going to be very good at the role. So that wasn't a problem, but already had an existing relationship with a bunch of the other children in the camp. where they had already taken a leadership role. And I thought, oh, this is perfect. I was so excited. So I shared that with the student. I said, hey, I'm casting you in this part. This is why. I think you're perfect. I'm so excited. I really think this is going to be a good like learning step for you. But then I think you're also going to have a lot of fun. And they went to their parent, and their parent nearly pulled them out of the camp because they thought that their child was so gifted that the child should play the title character, where the title character was actually a slightly smaller-ish role than this role that I put their child into, the role that their child was perfect for, the one that would be challenging and exciting. And it was a really interesting experience. I had to have a heart-to-heart with that parent and say, hey, I know that like the title of the play is this character's name, but this other part is so important. And I think as a learning experience and as a joyful experience, it's important that your child plays this role. So they stayed, and it did turn out great. The show ended up being really good. And part of it was because this student had those great leadership skills. So that's also, you never know what's going through the head of the director. And a good director will talk to you about what it is, but you never know. You never know why. So
Exactly. Especially in that educational setting, like especially your teachers, like not necessarily like someone from Prairie Fire coming into your school and directing you, but your teachers who are with you all the time. They know your personalities, they know your strengths and your weaknesses. They're going to find the best and most challenging educational role for you as they can, right? So even if it may not be that lead role, it may be a more challenging role for you, and it's teaching you something you don't even realize yet. And you have to trust them to be making those decisions. And because it is an educational setting, do not hesitate to go and talk to your teacher and your director, and they can tell you what they were thinking during that process, or give you pointers on what you can do at the next audition and how to help you in the future to get maybe that role that you were really, really hoping for. But just know that they don't do it out of like hurt or spite. Like literally casting, you guys, is one of the hardest jobs they have as your director and teacher. So just keep that in mind.
oh, I love this. Okay, so let's talk briefly. We're going to turn it over to Molly. Molly, talk a little bit about like program auditions, scholarship auditions, collegiate auditions, because some of our students might be starting to think forward into that. And I know some of the most successful collegiate auditions I've seen have been pieces and things that were put together and rehearsed for years. So
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So these types of auditions are the things you're going to start looking at when you start to get in the point, maybe, sometime in high school, usually, where you're like, okay, I feel very sure that this is something I want to pursue, not only as a hobby after high school, but also as a career. And it is very possible to make a career out of theater. Let the three of us here, that's a great example, but don't worry about like having a career. Really go for it if that's what you want to do. So I took notes because I'm passionate. So especially for programs, these are people that aren't just working with you for one show. They're working with you for an entire summer or for an entire 4 years if it's college. Not only are they looking for people who are really talented and have been working on these skills and are starting to become more professional in these skills, but they're looking for people that they are going to want to work with and spend hours with every day for months or potentially years. So if you aren't coming into the room being someone who is easy to work with, knows how to have fun, is going to work hard, and also is going to be like good at learning, like in terms of education, you're the person that's going to go above and beyond to learn as much as you can. It's weird to say that they can sense that from the other side of the table, but they can sense that. And so don't overthink it, just make sure that that's why you're there, because they're going to know. And like Miss Amber was saying, you should know when you walk in the door, like, here's what I am singing, this is what I've prepared. Oh no, that wasn't good in an audition. Everything's an audition. But I I always like to ask myself and like ask other people, like, what are you selling? It's sort of like a business interview. Like, I know for me as an actress, I'm kind of quirky and weird. I can play younger characters because I'm really short. I like to be the funny person. I can belt, but I also have a soprano voice. So I really think about like, here are the skills that like I know that I have, and it's okay to know that you have certain skills. That's just part of like having confidence in what you do, and making sure that you're picking material that shows what you do really, really well from the minute you walk into the room, because they start kind of deciding what they want and what they like about you from 2 seconds of you walking into the room, the way you say hello, like asking them how their day is, being nice to the accompanist, which is really, really important, because they're talking to these directors too. So just know what that material is, prepare it a while beforehand. If you have the means to, just working with a coach, like even I know the three of us were all people that love coaching songs and just like helping people prepare for auditions. So I definitely recommend that. Always show them what you do best first. And then if you have time to do something additionally, show them something that maybe they weren't expecting you to be able to do, but it's like a special skill that you have. Always, you know, have that ready to go for something that's second. If you're singing a cut of a song, and we'll probably talk more about this later, but just a portion of a song, make sure you also know the entire song. I've sat in on a lot of college auditions at my university after I was a student, where someone would come in and they would sing a cut of a song and they did really, really well. So often behind the table to say, oh, can you sing more of the song? And it was obvious that the person had not really rehearsed the rest of the song. And it's only going to be in your advantage to know it really, really well, because you're just getting to show them more. All you want is like more time to show them what you can do. They're often going to ask you questions about yourself, and then they'll say, do you have any questions for us? Even if you know the answers, always have a question for them, because it's not even the question that matters. It's just the chance for you to be in the room with them a little bit longer and for them to get to know you a little bit more and to know what's important to you. And then just always know what you want out of a program. Once you kind of know the results of your auditions, and maybe you have a couple of options, you know, they're auditioning you, but you're also auditioning them, especially if it's college. This is the next 4 years. So don't only think about like the name and reputation of the school, but like, how did it feel when you were talking to the students? Did it feel like they would be supportive friends? Did the faculty feel like they were really going to invest in your creative journey and like you uniquely as an artist? Just figure out what's important to you out of a program and make sure that's something that's tied into it as well. Because, you know, if you're going to be successful doing this, a good program is important, but you're going to be the type of person that works hard no matter where you go. So make sure it's where you want to go. And you'll know. I knew with Western Michigan University. Couldn't recommend it enough if you have any questions. But yeah, those are my 2 cents, or like 10 cents.
One thing that I've noticed as a casting director in the professional world about collegiate programs is that there are 2 kinds of really successful programs. One is what I would call the elite program, where they have a particular set of skills and they teach a high level of a particular set of skills to every person. So you know that if you go to this school, you're going to learn tap at this level, you're going to learn ballet at this level, you're going to learn jazz, you're going to have a particular vocal sound that they coach into, you're going to have a very polished product that's very professional. That's one kind of program that a lot of people are very successful with, those sorts of programs that it's like, this is what we teach, this is who we are, this is the concept of this university. And then there's the second kind of program, which is like the school I went to, Millikan University, where they meet you as an artist and say, okay, this is where you are. What do you want to do? Let's help you specialize. Let's find out who you are as an artist, because I don't know about you guys, but when I was 18, I was not everything that I turned out to be. I wasn't a fully formed, amazing adult at 18. I was still a teenager. So I knew myself as well as I could, but I didn't there were so many things that I hadn't experienced and hadn't done. And my collegiate program really helped me explore all of that and be a better artist that way. So that was sort of an inside out approach at my school. And that's the sort of, that's another kind of very successful program where it's a lot of work on the inside, and then that becomes who you are as an artist. And the other kind of program I call the outside in program, where there's a set of standards and you've got to like absorb those standards to get that successful product, because in the professional world, your performance and your person is a product. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, I mean, Missouri State is the exact same way, Amber. Like, we used to call them cookie cutter programs.
Yes.
That standard thing, we used to call them cookie cutters because everyone comes out kind of the same, right?
Same haircut.
Right. Missouri State was not that way. They very much, let's cultivate you as an artist, an individual, and find your strengths and really learn how to project those strengths and how to market you as your own artist. Yeah, I would definitely say that Missouri State is the exact same way.
Yeah.
Molly, when you did your audition for college, did you only do song and monologue, or were there other parts to it?
I mostly did a song and a monologue, or 2 contrasting cuts of songs and a monologue. And then I did a dance call at every audition I did as well. And a lot of the dance calls, it was more to see if you were to go to school here, where would we place you dance-wise? But there were certain programs that you could tell dance was a very, very big part of their program and their students, and being at a certain skill level was important. But if that's something where you're like, I can dance, but I don't know if I'd say I'm like a dancer, that's okay. And that doesn't mean that, I mean, there's many students at different levels of dance at Western Michigan University, and you can start out in beginning jazz, or like you could start out in jazz technique 1, depending on where you're at. So yeah, those are the main things I did.
Miss Molly, you said one of our vocabulary words. You said dance call. What is a dance call?
Good question. So yeah, a dance call. So if you're especially at a college audition, they'll gather everyone who's at that audition in one room, and it's usually going to be about an hour long. One of their instructors it's usually just a song from a show, so like a musical theater song. They're going to spend probably 30 minutes teaching you a combination, sometimes 2 combinations. I've done some where we did a jazz combination and a ballet combination, and then they say if you do tap, stay for an extra 10 minutes. But let's say it's just one combination, so they'll teach you a combination to that song. You'll be able to run through it a few times, but it is taught pretty quickly. So knowing sort of how to pick up moves quickly, and not only that, but look like you're doing the moves really well and having fun. That's quite important. And then they're going to break you off in small groups, usually groups of 4. And then in front of the audition panel, you'll do the dance, probably one time standing in the front line, one time standing in the back line. You might be wearing a number just so they keep track of who everyone is. But yeah, that's just another chance to show them who you are. That's especially important if you're not someone who would consider themselves like the best dancer ever. Don't let that get in your way. Like if you can only get one part of a move, do that one part with conviction and confidence, and they probably won't even notice. So
That's awesome.
How many schools did you audition for, Molly?
I auditioned for 11 different schools. Oh, and I meant to say this earlier, but really do your research. Yeah, do your research on the schools, know what the program is about before you go. So I had 11 auditions. It was crazy. I can't thank my parents enough for being supportive and driving me all over the place. I'm pretty sure there were like 2 months in a row where every weekend I was gone at a different audition, but I was super into it. I wrote like over 30 college essays. It was a crazy time. So
Did you do college visit days on their campus before you did their auditions, or did you just do the auditions and that was your first experience on their campus?
some of them I did. The schools that I was really interested in, I tried to do a visit before my audition, and I tried to set up a meeting with the head of their department to like ask them questions and just have my face be somewhere in their mind before the audition happened. But I mean, that's a lot of work. So I did that for maybe 3 or 4 places, but you get to spend a lot of time at the campus on the day that you audition anyway. So I didn't necessarily visit beforehand for every school, but you definitely get a feel for how things are. And if you have a chance, like just take a regular campus tour, that's always nice too. I was a tour guide at Western, so I enjoyed that sort of thing.
What about you, Amber? How many schools did you audition for?
I think I did 6, but my situation's kind of unique. I had decided to be a music and theater education person for my first 2 years of school, and I ended up transferring to Millikan in my junior year. So that was hard because with a BFA program, which is all of us went to BFA programs, that's a Bachelor of Fine Arts program. Those curricula tend to be pretty concrete. In this year you take this class, and this year you take this class. So it was tough to transfer in at that point. But the thing that changed my mind and what made me decide to not do education and to do theater, like major in musical theater, was I was actually working. I had just closed a show called The Miracle Worker, where I played Annie Sullivan. I was 19, was very excited. I had just closed that show, and I got cast at a summer stock theater in North Dakota, the Dakota Prairie Regional Center for the Arts, as Helena in A Midsummer Night's Dream. I was very excited. And I found out that the guy playing opposite me, my Demetrius, had been on Broadway.
Casual.
I was like, I'm fine. So he ended up befriending me and was very kind. We would work out, like go run on treadmills, and then go eat Dairy Queen every day.
Balance.
Yes, the yin and the yang. And then there was one day he was like, hey, I love doing cabaret. He had gone to Juilliard. He had a master's degree in vocal performance. And he said, I love doing cabaret. Are you interested in doing a cabaret with me before the show? And I was like, of course, that would be great. So we put together a cabaret. And through the course of that, like I was playing piano for everything for us for rehearsals, and we were singing through some things. And he said, you only have one shot in your life to do this as your job. And he's like, education is something that you do naturally, and it's going to happen. So maybe follow your dream, because you should. And I was like, maybe I will. So that's sort of the thing that turned the corner for me. It took some convincing for me to decide that I was good enough to try to do this for a living. It took someone who had a master's degree from Juilliard, who had been on Broadway, saying to me like, hey, it's okay to believe in yourself. Like, that's what it took. So yeah. And then I did 6 collegiate auditions. I auditioned at CCM and Boston Conservatory and Millikan, Syracuse, and Ithaca. It was for me between Boston Conservatory and Millikan. It was a rough choice because those are both really great programs that spoke to me in very different ways. So yeah, I ended up at Millikan and loved it there. Loved it there.
Nice.
I just sometimes, for those of you who are watching the Table Talk who know me, I go off on crazy tangent stories. So I apologize for just telling like a 20-minute story about doing a play 20 years ago.
No, it was good. You said some things and I was like, oh, I think I needed to hear that today. So
Oh, that's funny. So I think we'll call it on collegiate auditions there. Well, let's quickly run through the list really, really quick. So what to wear? I would say it's important to bring dance tights, for gentlemen, bring a dance belt, particularly for collegiate auditions. That's one of those things. Just do it. If you don't know what it is, look it up.
Google it.
Google it. So definitely have that. Have the appropriate footwear. Ladies, bring character shoes. If you know you're really good with ballet or tap, bring the appropriate shoes. You'll never regret having additional shoes for a collegiate audition or for a program audition. And then I would say too, bring a change of dance clothes or bring a change of dress. Like, I have a teal dress that I love to wear for auditions and a red dress I love to wear for auditions. And on different days, I either feel red or teal. So I pick which one I want based on how I'm feeling that day. So bring yourself a few options. You never know. You might wake up that morning and need an extra boost of confidence. So bring an extra of everything.
Also, if you're like me, and you're a messy human, you might need that extra change of clothes somewhere down the line, y'all. Like, bring extra clothes. Because you may get something on it.
Don't eat at Olive Garden.
Bring plenty of tights, because you never know.
I ripped so many tights. Oh. It was bad because I wore fishnets.
Nice. Bring comfortable shoes, because a lot of these colleges, you are there all day. It's a process, right? So for your main audition, when you're singing and you're acting on whatever their stage is for the day, for your actual audition for the table, like, yeah, you're gonna want to wear heels probably, right? If you're a girl. If guys, you'll probably want to
Lace up
wear some form of
shoes.
a dress shoe, right?
Yeah.
But I know when I did mine, you had to walk to a completely different building to get the dance call. We took a lunch break. We had to walk to the dining halls. We did take a campus tour. I didn't want to wear my heels for all that. There was also a point when we first got started where one of the professors let us outside as an acting exercise, and we did a bunch of improv stuff so that they could see us in the moment, thinking on our feet, and really just seeing who would go for the suggested things, see how you move. And obviously, like, I didn't want to wear my heels for that either. So make sure you bring that extra set of shoes that are comfortable, that you can walk around in during the day, so you're not dying on stage in your heels.
Yeah. Also, I would say water bottle.
Big
And
one.
yeah, the other thing for me that was always helpful was a thermos, something that can seal with hot water in it. Hot water and lemon. If you love tea, something that's like a hot beverage that's going to stay warm. Because sometimes when I get nervous, I get dry.
Hmm.
Uh,
And you will need a headshot and resume for most college.
oh.
Oh, wait, I have mine. Something that looks like this. Face what you have done.
I feel left out, so.
Not on the back of this headshot. It's just the one that sits in the front of my book, so people can read.
There.
It's beautiful.
Thanks.
The niceness is uncanny. Andrew was saying about the warm water, it's not so much that I necessarily get dry, but vocal cords will release tension if there's warm water. That's a big thing for me when I'm in a show, is just to keep warm water on hand backstage, so that, like, my vocal cords are resting. Because when you're doing 8 shows a week or more, like, rest,
Yeah.
release.
This is quirky, and I'm sure I haven't told either of you this, but something that I will do when I know I'm in a situation where I have to wait a long time and I'm nervous, I eat baby carrots, because then I don't have to go to the bathroom. So it keeps you hydrated with the water, but then you don't, like, right as they're about to call you in, you're not like, huh, can you guys wait 1 minute?
That's just nervous pee.
Yes. So
luck.
Baby carrots.
There you go.
Pro tip. So on the baby carrots note, that's collegiate auditioning.
I can't wait for people to watch this video.
Okay, so I think because we've been chatting for a long time, what we're going to do, this is going to be a series on these intro to auditions. So this is episode 1, I think. And then what we will do is stay tuned. Our next time, the next time we meet, Miss Katie and Molly and I will chat about community theater and civic theater auditions and professional auditions and different kinds of on-camera work that you might be asked to do, because those are pretty big topics. That way too, I think we can dig in a little bit deeper with those, and possibly also talk a little bit about resumes and headshots and some of that other stuff. What do you ladies think?
I think that's great.
Sounds awesome.
I agree. And that means we have an excuse to do this again.
Yes. So fun.
So just as a way to sort of put a little bookend on today's table talk, the drama club table talk, what's your biggest pointer? Like, what's the one piece of advice that you would give to the students of the drama club about auditions? I'll have you go first, Katie.
The biggest thing that I've always been told by professors and other professionals is they want to see you. They want to see you at your best. and they want to know you by the end of your audition. And sometimes that audition is 30 seconds, sometimes it's a little longer. But the point is the material you choose, the way you present yourself, what you wear even, all of those things are putting your best foot forward and showing them you as best you can in that short amount of time. And the real goal is to get a callback per se, right? So if you're showing them a glimmer of you and that sparks their interest, they're going to want to call you back because they're going to want to get to know you even more. So my best advice I would ever give is be prepared, do your work, be smart actors, but show them you, because that's who they want to work with, is you. So show them the best you.
I love that. How about you, Molly?
Yeah, I was like, oh, like, what do I want to, my one thing? But one thing that does get hard with auditions is sometimes you'll do a lot and sometimes you won't even get into the show. And so you might hear the saying that rejection is something that actors face a lot, which is sort of true. But just make sure after each audition, do something to reward yourself. That's something that one of my professors like forces us to do. For me, it's always like something to do with coffee is my reward after an audition. But then another mentor, actor of mine, friend of mine, he told me that you are never rejected at an audition. They just choose someone else. No one is ever specifically like picking up your headshot and be like, I reject her. No, they're not thinking about that. There's someone else that had something that is different from you in a way that you cannot control that they wanted to put in the role. It has nothing to do with you, and you'll go to another audition and you'll be that person. So just try and let it go as much as you can. Easier said than done, but that's what I would say.
It is so hard because I think so many performers have a tender heart. We all have so much empathy. That's what draws us to being actors, many of us. So it's hard when you're a tender-hearted person to not to have like a door close, like this is one of those hobbies or educational experiences that feels like it has a gatekeeper. There's someone there that says, okay, you can come in, okay, you can't come in, and it feels like a rejection. So it's so important to really remember what Molly said, that it isn't. It's just that on that day, it was someone else's day. That's super important. All right. Well, thank you, ladies, for doing this. This was great. I'm so excited that we got this table talk together. I think we'll get together next week and try this again. What do you think?
Yeah.
All right. Well, from Goshen Theater Drama Club campers, thank you guys for tuning in, artists, students, and family and friends. Yeah, tune in next week. We'll have another episode and we'll continue. We'll talk about civic theater auditions, professional auditioning, and some on-camera pointers and tips for you guys. Again, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments and we will definitely get back to you. And at the top of the show next week, we will maybe take some of those questions and comments and highlight your question and comment and give you guys some answers in real time. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.